It's October and we know what that means. Halloween and candy, well, it is also National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Stay tuned for our special guest from the Valpo IT department. Also, a Chinese app that is helping cancer patients, and finally, how our smartphones are helping meteorologists forecast the weather. All of that and more right here on VUTV's Sparked.
In a world where entertainment is at risk, one man is given a mission, but he is about to face his biggest challenge yet. He will race against the clock and open doors to new possibilities that will save weekends as we know it.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for free movies.
Oh, I'll help you with that.
Just go to movies.valpo.edu. They have all the best movies, including The Hobbit and 22 Jump Street.
Whoa, it's that easy?
It's that easy.
Grab some popcorn, grab some buddies, and watch movies.valpo.edu's great selection.
Welcome to Sparked, the show keeping you up to date on everything in the world of science, technology, and innovation. I'm your host, Colin Luft, and for the next 30 minutes, we will focus on cybersecurity and steps you can take to stay safe on social media. Thank you for joining me this Friday as we learn how staying safe online isn't scary. First up tonight, our Fast Five. Let's get right into the latest national STEM news. Our first story of the night comes from Google. Google wants buyers to know it's more than just a search engine. Tuesday, October 9th, Google unveiled an updated version of its high-end Pixel phone, Chrome OS tablet, and its first smart screen device with Google Assistant. They were announced at a press event in New York City. The new Pixel 3, Pixel Slate, and Google Home Hub are additions to its Made for Google lineup. The trio represent the latest update from Google's 2.5-year-old hardware division, which is finally building a single, cohesive device brand. After a social media outcry, Apple changed the design of its bagel emoji. The controversy erupted when Apple put out an emoji depicting a rather plain-looking bagel without cream cheese or any other kind of spread. The internet responded with a resounding OMG. Various social media users decried the bland appearance of the design. Philadelphia cream cheese itself weighed in, launching a Twitter poll and a tongue-in-cheek Change.org petition. Apple finally relented, releasing an updated emoji depicting a doughier bagel with cream cheese. The company's emoji can now join the ranks of presumably acceptable bagel designs from Google, Microsoft, Samsung, and Twitter. Snap Incorporated is unveiling its version of a fall TV lineup with its first formal slate of scripted comedy and docuseries shows dubbed Snap Originals. What does the future hold for this newest Snap initiative? And do they have worries about Facebook and other competitors just ripping off their ideas? CNN's Samuel Burke speaks with Snap's Vice President of Content, Nick Bell. He gets some answers about their reasoning for starting original shows and how they've adapted to filming vertically for series with just 5-minute episodes.
What we've been doing is kind of really trying to figure out how to make great quality mobile video content. And we've spent the last 2 years really leading the way. You know, great mobile video content it's cut vertically, it's very fast paced, it's hyper visual, and that's really how Snapchatters are communicating when they're talking amongst their friends every single day. So we've taken that playbook and we're now going out to the industry and we're working with some of the best media companies in the world, like Boone & Murray, to bring some of those great quality storylines to Snapchat using the playbook.
It's vertical, so does that mean that these shows were actually having to be shot in a different way?
Yeah, it's fundamentally a new art form. I think if you look historically at TV, you know, TV programs were created to fit the grid. They were created so that they could start on the hour or on the half hour. They were created to be a certain length so ads could fit into the show and make up a block of programming.
Snapchat has gone through some growth problems lately. For the first time, we saw a decline in active users from one quarter to another. So is this content, this new original content, meant to try and keep people on the platform or attract new users? And if you want to attract new users, does that mean that you can share the content off of Snap to try and get people who might be on your competitors' platforms?
You know, I think the content on Snapchat is really about engaging our current audience, but also attracting a new audience. If the programming really resonates with the audience, what will happen is people will go into school or go into the workplace, they'll tell their friends about it, and we hope that will bring new people into the app. But we have a large audience there already who are really, really open and really demanding more and more content.
And I'm just wondering if you're not worried about your competitors copying or downright stealing your content. I mean, Instagram is now famous for having totally copied stories, and now Facebook's even bragging that Instagram Stories has 300 million users just on that feature alone. That's more than the total users on Snapchat. So don't you worry that the guys at Facebook just might try and do that exact same thing and copy, make short vertical shows the way you're doing?
What I will say is I've seen the programming on other platforms, and I think our programming is streets ahead right now. I think, you know, we have a real lead here, and I think we're excited to be able to continue doubling down on that lead, and our audience are just lapping up this content. They love it. They're demanding more and more, hence why we're investing more and more in this content.
Stephen Hawking's final book is out, and his warnings sound straight out of science fiction. Brief Answers to the Big Questions went on sale Tuesday. In his book, Hawking shares his concerns about advances in artificial intelligence. He stresses the importance of placing restrictions on AI and controlling how quickly it grows. Hawking also warns of consequences from DNA manipulation. He calls it self-designed evolution and writes that superhumans will create problems for those who cannot compete. The world-renowned theoretical physicist died in March. And finally, China's rural residents become cancer refugees in the big cities due to the lack of quality diagnosis and treatment in their regions. One US-developed app is trying to change that, and CNN profiles 2 patients to see how the cloud-based app could help. Matt Rivers reports from Beijing.
For Cao Rui-Zhi, the life or death drama of her fight with cancer plays out in a small, windowless room. She and her husband are poor farmers from rural China. She didn't trust her local hospital when they told her that she had cervical cancer. So she came to Beijing for a diagnosis and treatment, staying in what locals call cancer hotels, cheap, dirty rooms across the street from the hospital. We have to borrow money, she says. What else can we do? I'm so young. How can I give up my life? She says they've spent $50,000 so far, a staggering sum for this couple, a story repeated thousands of times across Beijing each year. The desperate filling these hotels because they worry they can't get adequate cancer treatment most other places in China. The people staying in these rooms hope that by coming to Beijing, they give themselves the best possible chance for a cure. But like anyone with cancer, how do they know, A, their diagnosis is correct, and B, that by being here, they're getting the best possible treatment?
Any one doctor in any one hospital, by definition, doesn't have all the options.
Will Polkinghorn wants to help. He co-founded an app called Driver that's just launched in China and the US. The concept is to connect patients to the best possible treatment by aggregating knowledge. So a patient gets the app, gets a biopsy, and sends those results to a lab Driver has set up in either China or the US to get treatment options.
We process all of that information. We present to the patient what their standard of care is, and we present to the patient what advanced therapies they're eligible for.
The National Cancer Institute in the US and the National Cancer Center in China have signed up as partners. Driver says that means app users can connect with the world's best oncologists, ensuring users know which treatment is best and where they can find it. That might mean coming to a big city like Beijing or maybe staying close to home. It can help the patient so that some patients don't need to come to big cities for treatment. The app is expensive, $3,000 plus $20 a month for full service. They're trying to bring the cost down, and if they do, that's when people like Cao could afford it. Maybe she wouldn't have to travel all the way to Beijing just to confirm a diagnosis. Maybe her treatment would be more effective and faster. For now, though, that's a dream. The reality is a small, dirty room, radiation, and an army of daily pills. This is treating cancer when you're poor in China. Matt Rivers, CNN, Beijing.
And that's it for today's Fast Five. After the break, a look at how smartphone data helps weather forecasts, and later an in-depth look at cybersecurity. Stay tuned.
In a world where entertainment is at risk, one man is given a mission, but he is about to face his biggest challenge yet. He will race against the clock and open doors to new possibilities that will save weekends as we know it.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for free movies.
Oh, I'll help you with that.
Just go to movies.valpo.edu. They have all the best movies, including The Hobbit and 22 Jump Street.
Whoa, it's that easy?
It's that easy.
Grab some popcorn, grab some buddies, and watch movies.valpo.edu's great selection.
What is passion? At Valpo, it's something that pours out of us uncontrollably. It's a late night shot of caffeine, cramming for finals, a jam session with friends. It sees deep into space, turns big stuff into small potatoes, floats boats, and floods the senses. Passion is alive, it has a heartbeat, and it lives in you. How do we know? Because at Valpo, passion is who we are.
Well, I think that's all we need. Thank you so much for coming in. We'll be in touch.
Okay, this is it. Just shake his hand and walk out with your head held high. Don't mess this up. Thank you. Nailed it. Don't let a bad handshake get in the way of getting the job you want. Find out more at the Career Center.
Welcome back to Sparked. Get this, our smartphones are able to take advanced measurements of the atmosphere and can be used for forecasting. There's a current study going on by Tel Aviv University that is taking these measurements and using this data to help forecasters. Smartphones are becoming more and more popular and advanced by taking measurement like gravity, Earth's magnetic field, atmospheric pressure, light levels, humidity, temperature, and much more. This study is using a specific app that records all of this data on the cloud for forecasters, which could then help send out warnings faster to the public. We now welcome our first guest today, Blake Harms, 15 weather meteorologist and co-host of ViewTV's Weather with Blake and Heather. Blake, what are your thoughts on this?
It's very interesting, and something that I had just discovered when you sent this to me is that this provides such an opportunity for weather forecasters to gain more points of data. Right now, the only sources of observations that meteorologists receive are from airports and other observing sites that have the necessary instrumentation. But if we can allow forecasters to access these smartphones and this data, the possibilities are absolutely endless.
And one thing that I thought was pretty noteworthy is what this means for countries that aren't as developed, such as Africa.
Right, and like I mentioned, where those are areas that don't have many observing sites and that still face the same dangerous weather we do. So if they're able to access that multitude of data and smartphone data, it can make a huge difference in the forecasting quality.
So Blake, do you ultimately believe that this can help the field go in a different direction?
I do. With the surface observing sites, there aren't many in the country, comparatively speaking, because they're only at sites that the National Weather Service uses and whatnot. So there is a bit of a data gap. And these smartphones, using this data from these phones, could significantly close that gap by providing information on weather essentially anywhere and everywhere in the United States and beyond.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Blake. You can catch Blake every other week on Weather with Blake and Heather right here on ViewTV Channel 15 or at valpoviewtv.org/shows. Now, Sparked will return after the break with a cybersecurity discussion and later look at the quote of the day and some exciting action happening right here on campus. Don't go away. Back to Sparked. This episode, we are focusing on cybersecurity as part of our Halloween episode. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we hope that by the end of this segment, cybersecurity won't be as spooky as it seemed before. Now let's recap some recent events that have come out over the past few weeks. Recently, millions of Facebook users were hacked. The company and the FBI are actively investigating. Over 30 million Facebook users were compromised, although that number is less than the previously suspected 50 million. Hackers accessed the usernames, birth dates, hometowns, and work histories of 14 million users. The rest could have had their emails and phone numbers obtained. It is said to be the biggest security breach in the company's history. Facebook is cooperating with investigators after the attack. Administrators logged out almost 100 million users as a precaution. Next, we have the glitch that Google didn't want you to know about, and it is now exposed. Google+, the company's failed social network that was meant to rival Facebook, was apparently left vulnerable. Google says it found a bug that meant the private data of 500,000 users was unprotected. The Wall Street Journal says the situation went on for nearly 3 years. Samuel Burke explains.
This is an error that Google made in its code. So beginning in 2015, according to this Wall Street Journal report, basically a lot of the personal information that you put on Google Plus or that Google Plus got about you was exposed. Now, Google's saying, listen, nobody seems to have known about the fact that we had this bug. You can get in and you could have gotten in and gotten your hands on this information. So at the end of the day, this is a mistake on Google's part, a self-inflicted wound, if you will, because they screwed up on the code. Luckily, if Google's correct, doesn't look like anybody got it. I mean, this is really a bad situation for Google to be in.
And due to this situation, Google Plus is being shut down. Google launched the platform in 2011 to try and rival Facebook, but it wasn't popular among users. Couple that with a security bug that affected service, and Google determined it was time to say goodbye. The company is taking heat for not disclosing the security problem to the public. Google says no evidence was found that information was misused, no word on exactly when Google Plus will officially be shut down. Tens of thousands of people had their personal information exposed after a hack of a computer system that works with healthcare.gov. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, says there is an exposure of about 75,000 people through the direct enrollment pathway. The portal allows agents and brokers to help consumers with their applications for healthcare coverage in the exchanges. CMS in a statement says accounts exposed by the hack were deactivated and the direct enrollment pathway disabled. Suspicious activity in the computer system was initially investigated on October 13th, with the breach confirmed 3 days later. A CMS administrator says open enrollment, which begins next month, will not be impacted. Officials say healthcare.gov and the Marketplace call center are still available to customers. And finally, a Bloomberg Businessweek report from October 4th that up to 30 US companies, including Amazon and Apple, were compromised. Apple, Amazon, and Supermicro have put out statements refuting the report. Their strong denials come on the heels of this report, which claimed Chinese agents inserted spying microchips into the servers in data centers. Also, the report mentioned some US government contractors may have been affected and cited 17 intelligence and corporate sources. We now welcome our next guest from Valpo Information Technology and senior computer engineer, Jack Trax. Now, I'd like to begin with these hackings. Obviously, the last one is yet to be confirmed, but it really hits home when you see so many Americans spend a huge portion of their day on social media, and they definitely feel vulnerable. It's crazy when you see as many as 30 million Americans affected in one incident alone. So just to start off, Jack, let's hear your initial thoughts on all this.
Well, yeah, when you look at how many places have been getting hacked, it's so important nowadays to keep yourself safe online. And there are many ways to do that. One specifically is to protect your passwords, because those are the way that you would obviously access all these websites. On top of that, there's a lot of different things that you need to be looking out for, especially with faulty emails now being sent to everybody. You want to make sure that if you don't know exactly who you're sending your email back to, that you would double check it, because you don't want to be sending this email to the wrong person and then getting access to all your information.
Awesome. And then what are some steps that we can take to protect ourselves?
Well, there's a couple different steps. The first one, obviously, is don't write down your password, especially on like a sticky note underneath your keyboard or putting it underneath your computer. If someone wanted to hack you, it'd be very easy for them to do that. The second one would be turning on multi-factor authentication. That would definitely help you in preventing any kind of hacking coming to you. The next one would be don't save your password on your browser because those are actually very easy to hack. And another one that I personally use is use a passphrase because the length of a password is actually more important necessarily than the complication or how complicated it is. The next one would also be use a password manager. That way you guys can keep an idea of different passwords that you have for different websites. And there's a bunch of different apps that you can use on your phone that will be able to help you keep track of all of them.
And finally, we understand Valpo IT has made some pretty substantial changes in the way we do our passwords. Mind sharing that for us?
Yeah, so we are going to be changing from a 6 months renewal cycle to a 2-year change instead, which will actually not only boost how safe we will be with our passwords, but on top of that, it's actually going to help a lot of students because most students have told us that they're actually annoyed having to switch their password every 6 months. So we hope that this 2-year would kind of ease that frustration a little bit.
Thank you, Jack, for joining us.
Of course.
You can visit valpo.edu/IT for more information from the Information Technology Department here at VU. After the break, we'll wrap it all up, but not before we take a look at the Valpo Robotics football team's next matchup and reveal the quote of the day. Don't go away.
In a world where entertainment is at risk, one man is given a mission, but he is about to face his biggest challenge yet. He will race against the clock and open doors to new possibilities that will save weekends as we know it.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for free movies.
Oh, I'll help you with that.
Just go to movies.valpo.edu. They have all the best movies, including The Hobbit and 22 Jump Street.
Whoa, it's that easy?
It's that easy.
Grab some popcorn, grab some buddies, and watch movies.valpo.edu's great selection.
Welcome back to Sparked. Around campus, we have some exciting events going on soon. Tomorrow, the Valparaiso robotics team heads east to face Notre Dame. This is a rematch of last year's national championship where the Crusaders topped the Fighting Irish 37-34 in a back-and-forth battle. On our next episode, we will have full highlights and a full recap of what should be a very exciting matchup. It is always exciting when these two robotics football powerhouses face off. And now we head to today's final thoughts. Welcome to Final Thoughts. It's now time for today's quote of the day. It's not that we use technology, we live technology. That quote comes from Gottfried Reggio. Here at Sparked, we do our best not only to utilize technology to the max, but live it as we continue to bring you the latest scientific advancements and technology news. Reach out to us on our VUTV social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, all of those at Valpo VUTV. Let us know what you're up to. We are always looking to showcase new and exciting content. And don't forget to check out our website, valpovutv.org. Join us next time, same place, on November 9th for our next episode of Sparked. We will recap the Valpo Robotics football game and check out some exciting advancements in the field of robotics. You won't want to miss it. That's it for now. Please join us here every other Friday or continue to watch all VUTV programming whenever, wherever at valpovutv.org/shows. I'm Colin Luft, and this has been VUTV Sparked, the show keeping you up to date on everything in the world of science, technology, and innovation. Thank you, and good night.